This is Refurbished Don't Demolish. We're still here on Clapham Park Estate and I'm still talking to Joe. Joe, what were you saying just now about the community here and the use of this green space in Moreton Close?
Well, I remember when I first came here, and indeed for the first 15 years, 20 years even, I've been here about 27 years, people would have their parties there, weddings, children played there all the time. Throughout the year you could see kids playing, families using the space in different ways, and there was a real sense that people walking down the street or even living in the street could also participate in using that open space. So unlike the new proposals for the development, this was actually integral to the existing community. And it's part of the issue that, as I see it in this area, is that you can't claim that you're building communities when you're actually in the process of dissecting them. And you know, it just doesn't work like that, that you have to build infrastructure, there have to be facilities for people more than simply a local Sainsbury's.
And let's talk a little bit about the mature trees here, because these mature trees are going, and I've just come down the South Circular. The air quality is really poor, but there's stuff in the national press this week saying that scientists are working out that mature trees store even more carbon than they initially realised. So Metropolitan Thames Valley Housing are saying they're going to replace these trees and they're going to put in green space, but you say they're also building on this green space 6-storey blocks which are all for private sale. So how do you, and you live just opposite right here, so how do you think this is going to impact on the sort of area as a whole in terms of the environment and what's happening with the climate change and all the rest of it?
Well, the claims are from Metropolitan, from the developers, that there will actually be, at the end of this whole project, there will be a doubling of the number of trees. But the point is that we're losing mature trees. It takes at least 30 years for a tree canopy to develop to any extent that it would be able to absorb enough carbon to be functioning in the way that these trees are. These trees are about 40 years old, so they date from, or maybe a little bit older. Some of them are not so old, which is they're well established. It's very difficult now. We lost a lot of trees in Lambeth this year, new trees, because the heat in the summer just made it impossible for them to survive. In this area we've lost a huge number of mature trees, and we've recently been campaigning. We've lost 40 mature trees in the recent BO1 development, CO1, on the corner of Clarence Avenue and the South Circular.
Well, I see, sorry to interrupt you, but I see there's been flooding recently with the recent rain and snow that we've had. But presumably, given that we've just had COP27, which has come away with virtually no agreement to sort of reduce the amount of fossil fuels we're using, I'm sure Metropolitan Thames Valley Housing will be putting in windmills, solar panels, ground source heat pumps, things like that, so that the new homes they're building here will be carbon neutral. Is that right?
As far as we know, they're still sticking with this original plan, which is using gas-fired district heating, and that in fact is the way that most of the new properties are heated. We have made some requests to find out whether they are actually being required by Lambeth, given that Lambeth have declared a climate emergency, whether they're actually being required to rethink this, because it is completely unsustainable that we should be moving forward still reliant on fossil fuels on this scale in this kind of development. Well, so as I understand it, that is still the case, and we're much more likely, because of the loss of trees, to get increased flooding in this area, more runoff, and this happened the other day on the South Circular on the corner with Clarence Avenue. Yeah.
So this is going to be devastating for the environment, and given the fact that we've not seen much evidence of any new developments in Lambeth really being carbon neutral, that must give you fear for the future, I would think.
Well, I am genuinely concerned that we're losing a green space, and whereas I know that people need homes, I do feel that the issue of whether or not we could have refurbished, we could have retained more of the original housing stock and all that embodied carbon, whether we could have done more to make that a reality, because it seems to me that, you know, we cannot go on into the future with this old system of simply demolishing and building new.
Thanks, Joe. That's great. It's great to know. Thank you.